Alright guys, today we're going to be going over solving rational expression work problems. So this is a continuation of 11.6, just a little more specific. So first, let's look at this example problem. It says, you can paint a fence twice as fast as your sister can. Working together, the two of you can paint a fence in 6 hours. How many hours would it take each of you working alone? So, first glance, you may not know how to set up this problem, but that's where we have 3 helpful steps to assist us. So first, we're going to write a fraction for each person, and it's always going to be 1 over whatever the time is. So it says you can do it twice as fast as your sister. So we're going to call your sister x. So we're going to say 1 over x. And then since it's working together, that means we're going to add these two. So x is your sister. You can do twice as fast as your sister, so we're going to call you 2x. And then it says, again, the total when they're working together, that's the 6 hours. So we're going to set these equal to the total. So we're going to say 1 over our total time of 6 hours. And then you notice this looks very similar to an 11.6 problem. And so we would solve this just like we would for 11.6. So we would start by finding our least common denominator. So we have, they share an x, all right, at least 2 of them share an x. And then we have a 2 and a 6. The least common multiple of 2 and 6 is 6. So we would then multiply each of these by 6x. And here the x's cancel, and so we would get 6 plus. On this one, our x's cancel. 6 over 2 is 3. And then the 6's cancel. We're left with x. So 6 plus 3 equals x. So that means x equals 9. Now remember, x was your sister, so your sister can do it in 9 hours. You can do it twice as fast. And so that means you can do it. Oh, excuse me. So it would actually be 1/2. So we would actually do this 1, you can do it twice as fast, so 1 over 2x. That would be 4.5 hours. You can do it twice as fast as her. Okay, so we're going to go through a couple of different problems, and again, the answers on all of these are right here, so you can double check. We're worried more about the setup, because we already learned how to solve these. So it said, Carl can clean a room in 3 hours. If his little sister Kyra helps, then they can clean it in 2.4 hours. How long would it take for Kyra to do it alone? So Carl is 3, so we're going to say 1 over 3. Our total time is 2.4, so this equals 1 over 2.4. Since this total is them two working together, we're going to add these. So it's going to be 1 plus 1 over. We don't know what Kyra is, so Kyra is going to be x. So looking for my least common denominator. 3 and 2.4, we don't really know what their least common denominator is because multiples of 2.4 is hard. So we're just going to say 3 times 2.4. Because whatever those two multiply together will be our LCD. And then we'll bring in the x as well. Because they don't share, none of these denominators share anything, so we're just going to write all 3 of them. So when we multiply by 3 times 2.4 times x on all 3 of them, on this one, the 3's cancel, so we're left with 2.4 and x. On this one, the x's cancel, so we're left with 3 times 2.4. We're equal to 2.4's cancel, so we're left with 3x. So 3 times 2.4 is actually 7.2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move all of my x's to the same side. So I'm going to subtract 2.4x. And 3 minus 2.4 is 0.6x, and this equals 7.2. So to get x by itself, we're going to divide by 0.6. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my calculator. We can just use the one on my computer. Let's move him over. And we're just going to say 7.2 divided by 0.6. And we get 12. So we're going to say x equals 12. So Kyra can do it in 12 hours, which again, this is the answer we got right here. All the answers are here for you to double check that you're setting this up correctly. Looking at the next one, it says Doug takes twice as long as Becky to complete a project. So we're going to call Becky X, and we're going to call Doug 2X because he's twice as long. And then it says together they can complete the project in 10 hours. So that total time is 1 over 10. And it's asking how long will it take them to complete the project alone. So since the total is them working together, we're going to add these two to equal the total time. So for my least common denominator, we share an x. And then the least common multiple of 2 and 10 is just going to be 10. Because 2 can go into 10 5 times. So if I multiply all of these by 10x, on this first one, my x's cancel and I'm left with 10. The x's cancel. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And here, 10, we're left with x. So 10 plus 5 is 15. So we're going to say x equals 15. So Becky is 15. 2x, which is Doug, is 30. So this answer of 30 is Doug's time. Becky should be 15. I apologize. I left that off. So Doug is 30. Becky is 15. Moving to the next one. It said Joey can build a large shed in 10 days less than Cosmo can. So we'll call Cosmo X. All right, so 1 over X. And we'll call Joey X minus 10 because it's 10 days less than Cosmo. So if Cosmo's X, Joey is X minus 10. It says if they built it together, it would take them 12 days. So this equals our total time of 12. And since it's together, we're going to add. And we're trying to figure out how long it would take each of them to do it working alone. So for this least common denominator, if you look, all three of these denominators are different. So we're just going to have to do 12 times x minus 10 as my LCD. None of them are the same, so we're just going to throw them all together. So we're going to multiply by 12x and x minus 10 on all three. On this first one, the x's cancel, so we're left with 12 times x minus 10, plus, on this one, the x minus 10's cancel, so we have just the 12x, and we're equal to 12's cancel, x times x minus 10. So let's go ahead and distribute. So 12 times x, we have a 12x minus 120, still plus 12x. It's equal to, we have an x squared and minus 10x. So this one is where we're going to have to get everything on the same side of the equation, and we're going to have to do some factoring. So since x squared is on this side, I'm going to move everything to the right. So I'm going to subtract 12x, add 120, and subtract 12x again. So again, minus 12x plus 120. So x squared, he's still there, so we're going to get x squared. Negative 10 minus 12 minus 12. That's going to get us minus 34x plus 120. And we now equal 0 because all three of these went away. So we're going to have to factor 120 and look for a sum of negative 34. So make a t-chart, 120 with a negative 34. So 1 and 120, 2 and 60, 3 and 40, 4 and 30. That looks promising. But we need to make them both negative to get the negative 34. So we're going to say this is x minus 4 and x minus 30 equals 0. So we're going to end up with two answers. We're going to end up with x equals 4 and x equals 30. Now, we're not going to need both answers. One of these is not going to work. So this is where we need to plug it into our answer. Now, the suspicious one is 4 because you notice it says 10 days less. We cannot have x minus 10. 4 minus 10 is negative 6. Joey is not going to take negative 6 days to build a shed. So this one, out of just it being realistic, this one's not going to work. Because again, you can't have 10 less than 4 in this case. Because again, we can't have negative time. So we're going to use 30. Because x could equal 30. It could take Cosmo 30 days. And then x minus 10 would be 20 days. And both of those are realistic, logical answers for building a shed. Versus again, if we used 4, if it took Cosmo 4 days, x minus 10, it would take Joey negative 6 days. That's not possible in real life. So this one is extraneous, purely out of the restraints of actual time. Now, this last one is interesting, so please pay attention to this one. It says a sink can be filled by a pipe in 5 minutes. So we're going to say 1 over 5. But it takes 7 minutes to drain a full sink. So again, we're going to call that 1 over 7. It says if they are both open, both the pipe and the drain, so we're trying to fill it and drain at the same time, how long will it take to fill the sink? So we're going to call that 1 over x. Now, filling a sink, that's making the water level go up. Draining a sink is making it go down. So this is where they're actually moving in opposite directions. They're not working together this time. They're actually working against each other. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract. Okay, and I'm going to put the 1 over 5 minus the 1 over 7 because we're trying to fill the sink. We're trying to make the water level go up. So we're going to say what is filling it minus what is draining it equals the time that it'll take to fill it. Okay, so pay attention to these relationships. The rest of them, they were working together. The two pieces were working together for the total one. Here, they're working against each other. So keep that in mind when you have a plus versus a minus, okay? This least common denominator, 5 and 7, their least common multiple is 35, and then we have to bring in the x. So if we multiply by 35x, 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 here 35 divided by 5 is 7, and then the x gets to tag along, minus 35 divided by 7 is 5, and the x again tags along, and we equal, this time my x's cancel, and we're left with just 35. 7x minus 5x gets us 2x equals 35. If we divide by 2, we're going to say that it's going to take 17 and a half minutes to fill the sink, which again, is what we get right here. So this last one especially make note of because again, you need to see the relationship of are they working together or are they working against each other to figure out if you need to add them or subtract them. That's going to conclude the work problems. Just make sure you study these over to understand it for your test. Ask your teacher if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a great day, y'all.